Welcome. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining this breakout. Let me quickly check if everybody is coming in the right way. Yeah, looks so. So we will start. Our presentation will be done by Olaf van Campen and myself, Johan Oenema. And I will guide you through the first intro. The presentation that we will give to you is how empowering insights can bring strong partnerships. And one of the examples of this is the partnership that we have with Adama in the Netherlands. And Olaf will tell about that. First, we will introduce ourselves. My name is Johan Oenema. I'm working now for almost 4 years at Solentum. Being responsible for international sales and marketing. My goal is to introduce our products and services and to make sure that as many people as possible will use our services for their benefit. And then Olaf, if you would be so kind to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Johan, and good morning to everybody. My name is Olaf van Campen. I am crop manager at Adama. We are a crop protection company, part of the Syngenta group worldwide, and we try to offer the farmers the possible crop protection solutions to increase their yield and to give a better quality of their yields.
Thank you. This is the agenda that we want to discuss with you. First, the introduction of Solentum, data-driven decisions and why we think and believe it's the future. Storage monitoring with SolAntenna, which is one of our products. And then from there, we will move to the experiences of Adama in combination with Talent, and also some information about the sprout inhibitor Talent and why it works. So starting first off with data-driven decisions and why it's the future. It's clear that the challenges are rising in storage. There are increased difficulties sometimes in seasons to harvest, and it's difficult to get the potatoes at the right sweet spot in storage to maintain quality and also to maintain a good outcome in revenue, weight, and etc. And sprouting is one of the key factors that need to be controlled. And it's important that there is a lot of different kinds of sprout inhibitor applications, and these can support also essentially the quality of the crop. And we see at Solentum with our customers that many customers are looking for more and more grip on their storage, because it's, if you need to guess, if you have your gut feeling, that is giving you, of course, a lot. But if you really measure, then things will change in the benefit. And our main goal is that we want to support customers of us and growers in particular to prevent losses in storage after a very good season in the field, and to support with measurements that decisions can be made on facts, and that certain gut feeling can be in that way monitored with data. And that will result in a direct benefit, because if you have less losses in storage, if you have more control, you are able to more control certain diseases or certain challenges that are rising at that point. So that's why we believe that as Solentum, we have a opportunity to support the industry on that part. How to do it in one way is to have a close monitoring on your storage. And obviously, many people have a storage computer system that they use. What we have is an extension of that. So we have a between the tubers direct spot measurement device called the SolAntenna. And the SolAntenna is a digital tuber. It has 3 sensors in it. It measures temperature, relative humidity, and CO2 values continuously, and it is wirelessly connected, so you can easily put it in your storage. What you need is the whole package contains a number of SolAntennas, and it contains a gateway which will provide the wireless connection and the data feed to the dashboard, so you can real-time assess it, and the signal repeater if you have a sort of blind spot in the signal in your storage if needed. And then how you use it is actually as a real-time monitoring system that allows you to monitor between the tubers, either in bulk or either in boxes. And for instance, the benefit of that is that you have the possibility to really compare the low boxes with the high boxes, and the front and the back and left and right. And this will give you a lot more insight in your storage facility and all the key parameters that are at that point measured to steer or to make changes supporting your storage conditions. Or if you use, for instance, an applicant as a sprout inhibitor to see what the changes are. But Olaf will tell more about that. In that way, it's important to mention that the battery life of this digital potato is 6 to 9 months, and it has a self-calibrating CO2 sensor. So it will be in the tubers, and you don't need to touch it in the season, which makes it very convenient. And as I mentioned, the dashboard is obviously the most important part, because measuring itself is not the solution. We believe that data is very important, but moreover, what do you want to do with the data? So you need to see what needs to be done. And this is what we have done with Adama the past 2 years. And I would gladly hand over now the presentation to Olaf, and he can explain what his experience was during the past 2 years with the SolAntenna and how he used the data. So Olaf, if you would be so kind, take it away.
Thank you, Johan. So you saw a picture of me in the storehouse of a Talent store. And here you see a movie how Talent, one of our products in potatoes, is used in the seed potato storage. So Talent is distributed by air via a cyclomatic called fogging, and it's blown through the seed potatoes. And it's a natural oil, and you can store potatoes with a higher temperature and prevent sprouting by applying Talent during the whole storage period from the 1st of December till the 1st of April till the planting season. So that is the reason that our farmers apply Talent. And of course, in the storage, there are 3 parameters important. It's temperature, CO2, and humidity. The result of the Talent you can see in the next slide is that you have more stems per tuber, which results in more tubers. So with a higher yield and higher distribution equality of your potato variety. In this case, I took a picture last year of a HZPC variety Fabula, but you can equal this to all kind of varieties which you store at a higher temperature during the growing season. With application of Talent, you get more tubers in the seed potato size 35-55 millimeters. So that's our product of Talent. And when I came in contact with Johan 3 years ago, we decided to search for the possibility of the use of the SolAntenna in our Talent stores. So last season, we used at 3 different farmers in the north part of Holland, the SolAntenna. So in 3 different storages with 3 different farmers, we have put 5 of those blue SolAntenna potatoes in the potato stores. And all of the farmers, they used Talent, and we could see the data. And in my next slide, I want to show you some data which I gained during the storage season. Because I told you already that the temperature is of most importance during the growing of during the storage of the seed potatoes. And in this graph, you can see the result of the temperature of those 3 different farmers, the light blue one, the dark blue one, and the orange one, of the storage period between the 1st of December and the 15th of April. And there became 2 things clear to me, that 2 farmers, the blue lines, they were really close together on a level of about 6-7 degrees. So the perfect temperature for the application of Talent. But it also became clear to me that at one of the farmers, the temperature differed between 2 and 10 degrees. So in one growing season or one storage season, the temperature was really in big variation. And we know that the more variation in temperature, the more sprouting you get. So then also the effect of the talent is less than with a constant temperature in your storehouse. Another parameter which we could measure was the CO2 amount. And we don't know a lot about CO2 yet, but what we discovered with the SolAntennas is that we said, well, the correct amount of CO2 in a seed potato store should be somewhere between 1,000 and 4,000 ppms. So you see the green and the pink dotted line, somewhere there between the CO2 should be. And what you could also see in again, those three different farmers, that the two blue ones are really close together, but one of the farmers is exceeding the limit of 4,000 ppms 4 times, somewhere end of January, in March, and also the end of April. So that's also remarkable. And another thing what was remarkable last storage season was the orange line. This farmer had really low CO2 amounts. Even the maximum is around 1,300 ppms, but in the average, he was around 1,000 ppm. So in the whole growing season, he was much lower than the other two farmers. And when we saw those peaks, or when we saw variation in those CO2 amounts, we could contact the farmer immediately. He could take direct actions, and he could base his decisions on facts. And these are real facts, real data, 24/7, where he could take actions. So all in all, I concluded the last season, and Johan, you can put the next slide on, that we had really close monitoring during the storage season. It's important to check and to monitor the growing season during the growing period in the summertime, but it's even more important to monitor what is happening in the seed potato storehouse. We could measure between the tubers and between varieties. We had 5 different SolAntennas in one store, so we could see on 5 different places in the storehouse a direct comparison between those 3 parameters. You see them on the right side, the mean temperature, the humidity, and the CO2. So those 3 parameters are most important for me. And I could support my experience, because talent is used already for 20 years in the Netherlands, not only with my gut feeling and my experience, but with real-time data. And this is really giving me an extra service towards the growers and my customers in the market who are using talent at the moment. And my last conclusion is that I regain control in the storehouse to prevent losses, because once it is wrong, you cannot make it correctly with talent. And talent is used, should be used in a good potato store, and to control it by these 3 parameters with a really close eye on it, we can even increase the effect of talent on the seed potatoes. So with that, I would like to conclude.
Yes, thank you, Olaf. And in that way, what we have seen is that the partnership that we have with Adama resulted in the value that not only Adama had a benefit of insights in this data to support also Olaf his own assessment of what happens in the storage and to give the advice to the growers for the benefit of the grower, but also the grower itself became more aware. And we have often heard together from the growers that they were, even though they have a Tolsma system or a high efficient system, that certain things that were a surprise for them. And this is one of the things that we took out of this exercise, that even though storages are very high efficient currently, and the knowledge level is also very high, measuring between tubers is giving you a very different picture, and gives you a lot of feedback that you can really use to adapt and to make sure that you have a lot of quality assurance within your storage season, and that results, of course, in benefit. So that is, in fact, also the conclusion of this breakout presentation, which leaves us quite some time for questions. And I didn't tell you in front, but you're welcome to put your questions in the chat for us. and we will answer them directly until the admin will say that time is up. So I will invite you all to ask the questions, and I will look at them, and if they are to Olaf, I will ask Olaf to answer, and if it's to me, I can answer. So you can start now. Until now, it seems that we have explained it very well, because there are not many questions, Olaf, so that's good news. Okay, we have a question of Niels Postma. Is the data made available by an API for other systems? Good question, Niels. Indeed, our data is available by Open API in our data platform. So currently we have the data of SolAntenna on our platform solantenna.com. That one doesn't have the Open API, but we are busy developing now the migration towards our Solentum data platform, and that is then with an Open API. So that will be soon available in that way. From DR, we have a question. Why was action not taken before CO2 went so high? Olaf, can you maybe give an explanation?
Yeah, of course. You saw that this one farmer, 4 times the CO2 went up quite high. And to be honest, we took action when we saw it, maybe 1 or 2 days later. But you can imagine that if we had not recognized it or seen it, then we would have not taken any action. So then the values would have been maybe 2 or 3 times as high, meaning 10,000, 12,000 ppm. And we know that exceeding 5,000 ppm is getting dramatic in consumption potatoes with the baking colors. So 4,000 ppm is not the dangerous zone yet. So in this store, it was quite okay. So you could say, okay, maybe a little bit too late, but far more ahead than in a normal store where we did not have any close contact on the CO2 measurement.
Thank you, Olaf. And in that way, also a question that suits to that maybe is from Antti. Thanks, Olaf and Johan. I see there is a real benefit for Adama. Can you tell a bit how those customer farmers see the benefit about that? Can you also explain a bit about that, Olaf, your relation with the farmers?
Yeah, there are 2 things. One thing is my direct advice and direct contact during the storage season. So it means that I had contact about once a week or once every 2 weeks, contact with my distributor or with the farmer about the result in the store. So it's much more than I used to have without the SolAntennas. That's one. And the second advantage is that I have a lot of data during the season, which we gathered together and we could analyze after the storage season, and we could give back, for example, in June or July to the farmers, where they could see how they were performing towards other farmers, or in their own store, how one variety was performing other than the other variety. So not during the season, but afterwards, after the analysis, farmers appreciated really the experience and the comparison between other farmers and other storehouses.
Yeah, thank you, Olaf. We have a next question of Niels Postma, and he says it's his last question. I see that you are measuring temperature and CO2. Is humidity also relevant for transport or storage of seed potatoes? Niels, yes, that is indeed important. And also this value has been measured with the case that Olaf explained. We now specifically said the temperature and CO2 relations, but also humidity has been real-time tracked just like the other 2 parameters. And these are actually the 3 key parameters within storage to measure how it's going. So yeah, it's in. And then we have another question of DR. In a 1,000-ton store, how many SolAntennas do you need? Good question. In fact, why we specifically have a set of 5 SolAntennas is to enable, if you have a 1,000-ton store, to make the difference between the front and the back, and top and bottom. So you have 4 that you use for that. One top on the left, for instance, one bottom on the right, and in the back you switch it around, and then you have a good comparison between the boxes in the front and the back, left and right. And then you also have a 5th SolAntenna that you can use as a reference SolAntenna or in the middle. And this will enable you to create a sort of overview of data points with easy comparison between your storage conditions in several spots. So that's 5 SolAntennas is the answer in your question.
And to add to that, the average talent store in Holland is somewhere between 200 and 600 tons, sometimes even over 600, but the average is between 200 and 600. And then 5 SolAntennas is quite enough to measure in all the corners of the talent store these 3 parameters.
Okay, thanks for the questions. Are there any more questions that we can help with? A question of Silvio Goulart, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, about the air circulation inside the chamber. What would be the ideal ventilation? I guess this is connected to the sprout inhibitor. So maybe Olaf, can you talk about that, or is this a storage question?
For talent, we use forced air distribution. So you saw in my first movie slide that it was blown into the air and via ventilators blown through the boxes. So with open air ventilation, you cannot distribute talent quite well through the boxes and through the potato. So if you use talent, you need forced air distribution. With other kind of sprout inhibitors or with mechanical cooling, it is not obliged to use forced air, but with talent, it is obliged.
Then we have another question of Michelle Bartnicki. How often farmers need to use the talent product, and what is the interval between application?
Yeah, it's quite simple. It's on the label, which you can find on the internet. And our farmers, they apply it every day. For example, in the morning at 8 o'clock. The application sometimes, on average, takes around 20-30 minutes. They close down their store, and in the night, they can use the external air to ventilate their storehouses. So our farmers apply it every day, and they use external air to bring down the CO2 each night.
Thank you, Olaf. I'm not sure how long or how many minutes we still have. I see a question coming in from Raminder. To everyone, thanks, Johan and Olaf. Is there any data supporting the quantum of storage loss saved by using the SolAntenna? That's an interesting one. The first experiment that we have now with Olaf results in insights in what difference it makes to steer within the season real time. And I think one of the next steps is also to quantify what will be then the benefit of that. And that is currently not that crisp and clear. So that's something we can come back to later on. That's definitely in our scope. Looking if there is a chat coming in. Okay, well, I think that if there are no questions anymore, yes, no problem, Raminder. Okay, break starts at 11:26. So actually we are well in time. We have 1 minute left. So that 1 minute, I would like to thank you on behalf of Olaf and myself for joining our presentation. And we hope that we informed you well about the possibilities from talent and the importance of data in the storage season. And we invite you to take a look at the website of respectively Adama and Solentum if you want more information, or you can contact us if you want. I see still questions coming in, but unfortunately we don't have time anymore for that. So we can do it privately, no problem. Thank you for joining, and you can push the leave button to return to the Potato Days 2020 live. Thank you for joining.